You gotta give me one thing. I'm a scary judge of talent.
Adolphus Washington back-to-back plays.
The Detroit Pistons select Luke Kennard from Duke University.
Hey guys, welcome back. Another episode of the Triple Double Podcast. My name's Corey Albertson of Triple Double Prospects, 270 Hoops, Jason Morrow, with us as always as a producer. And today's guest is Coach JR Reynolds. Coach, what's going on?
Nah, nothing much. Thank you guys for having me. I really appreciate it. Thank you.
Absolutely, Coach. We appreciate you taking the time out of your busy day. And let me give everybody the intro on you. Coach JR Reynolds, assistant coach at Miami, Ohio University, just finished his second season under head coach Jack Owens. Prior to his time in Oxford, Ohio, Coach Reynolds also served on staffs at Eastern Illinois, Purdue, and Southeastern Illinois College. So, Coach, you're from, I know you're from Kentucky. You're a Midwest guy now. You're kind of these tri-state area. You kind of know your way around, right?
Yeah. Still trying to navigate my way through the big state of Ohio. But yes, I've had the majority of my experience is most definitely coming to Midwest, and I'm happy for it. Yep.
Okay. Well, tell us what you've been thinking since you've been living in Oxford. Oxford's a fun town to be in school. A lot of things to do, but when you're an adult and you got to make a living, you probably got to slow down on that stuff. But what's your experience been like in Oxford?
Yeah. The Oxford experience has been great for my family and I. You asked about, what do adults do? Right now I'm out here at my son's baseball game. So, it's just a really good place for families. Obviously Oxford is a tremendous college town. There's no doubt about that. And, it's a good place to raise a family as well. So, the Oxford community has embraced my family and I, and it's been a good experience to this point.
Well, you guys are starting to do good things up there, and everybody knows that Miami, it's a little bit of a different job in the MAC, being that you've got hockey, you've got a really good football program, but the basketball there can be super attractive when you look back at what Charlie Coles did for years, and that you're right there by Cincinnati, Dayton. You're not far from Columbus. You're not far from like a Toledo, Indianapolis, Louisville. You can get to a lot of places, and it's the academic excellence there, and how nice the campus is. It's been attractive to kids, and I think that's what you guys have been doing on the recruiting trail.
Right. Yeah, absolutely. Like you said, I think that gives us, somewhat a leg up in the MAC, in my opinion. Miami being a prestigious academic university as it is, and just being able to touch as many kids as you mentioned. We can go up as far up into the, into the Akron and the Cleveland area as well. And, we've done well in Kentucky and Indiana right out the gate. And, honestly, Corey, us coming in, a group of guys not really being from the area and not being from Ohio, one thing I will say is that we have been welcomed into the state. A lot of AAU coaches and high school coaches, and obviously parents, they're excited about us recruiting their kids. And a lot of that does have to do with, the Miami experience. Anyone who's visited knows that, we have an A1 campus, unbelievable campus, and, that Miami education does go a long way. And as soon as we get on recruits and start talking with their parents, and their kids about, the opportunity to come to Miami and be a student athlete, that's usually the first thing that gets talked about is, Miami and its academic prowess.
Absolutely. Well, for today, you talked about recruiting, and that's really what we wanted to kind of focus today's discussion on. And I wanted to talk to you about, what do you guys do during April? The live period's obviously passed over a few weeks ago here, but, during the live period, we talked with some scouts and everything. And from a college coach's standpoint, how do you guys balance babysitting your top targets, going to watch the top targets play games versus, you also want to take a flyer on kids who you've never seen before, you've heard some things about, and you only had one weekend to do it. So, what was your process or maybe your staff's thought process this April in trying to get around?
Right. Well, like you said, right away we wanted to identify the kids who we already have committed to us in that 2020 class. And we wanted to make sure that we got to go see those guys. That was first and foremost. Coach Owens and the rest of our staff, those guys really have done a great job of recruiting to where, we had a solid class in 19. We're really excited about those guys, and we have a couple of commits already in that 2020 class. We're excited about those guys as well. But, with guys like Nike Sabandy, Delonte Brown, Big Bam Bowman's going to be a senior this year. Nike and Delonte, they have 2 more years, and, it's going to be very important that we replace those guys with a strong 2021 class. So honestly, Corey, the thing we did was we're trying to target those guys that are moving on for the sophomore years and going to be juniors. And, that was really our prime focus. And honestly, it was tough being that it was 1 weekend this year. The NCAA did away with the 2 weekends in April. And honestly, it made it tough. We had the 3 of us assistants. We covered as much ground as we could without moving around too much so we could get solid evals on kids that, like you said, kids that we haven't quite seen yet, kids that are on a lot of these scout reports and a lot of these, a lot of the reports and things that we hear about, the young guys that we might not have got out to see during the season. We wanted to make sure we see as many of those guys as we could in that 1 weekend in April. And it's hard, man. It's hard because, you're trying to see one guy, you might see him for a half, you might see another player for a half, but you're trying to cover as much ground as you can and see as many players as you can to get some solid quality evals. The only guy who really bounced around for us in that 1 weekend this year was Coach Owens, and he tried to get to, we were in Dallas, we were in Atlanta, and Kansas City as well. Coach Owens is about the only guy that bounced around and tried to see multiple sites. Otherwise, you're one missed flight away or one delay away from missing out on a whole event when you try to bounce around when it's only 1 weekend to eval these young men. So that was our strategy. Like you said, get out and see the kids that we already have committed first, and go from there. That was our strategy.
Well, you guys are a little ahead of the game then, having a couple kids committed already in that class. When you look at the way college basketball's trending, guys are committing later. We're seeing so many transfers, prep schools, graduate transfers, and it's kind of nice that you guys are really focusing on the high school level. But when you look at guys who you've already offered, they know you want them, they know you a little bit, or even more so, guys who are committed. When you go to their game, obviously you're going to their game to show support, to show them that they're important. But what are you really looking for? Are you looking for more information as to kind of where they might fit on your recruiting board? Such as this guy might be our number 2 point guard on our list, but we'd rather have this guy. Are you just looking for talking points for future conversation? I mean, what are you looking at when you watch those type of kids?
You know what, man? Honestly, you just want them to play well, especially the kids that are already committed to you. Because every coach on every level knows you want to be right. You want to have kids that come in that's going to have an impact on your program, rather it be right away or they end up being a all-conference type or a contributor later in their career. So honestly, Corey, when you have a kid who's committed to you and he still has high school eligibility left, whether it be 1 year or 2 years, honestly, man, you want to go there and see them play well. You want to see that player embody everything that you embody as a staff and as a program. You want to see them play hard. You want to see their engagement level with their teammates. What is their body language? What is their demeanor on the court when things go well, when things don't go well? And, when you get them committed early, there's still a lot of data out there. It's still some things yet to be determined. So, honestly, when you already have those guys who are committed and you're still watching them in AAU games, man, you want them to play well. You want them to play hard. You really want them to be the most competitive guy on the court and just really embody everything that, you as a coaching staff and your program value as far as having young men on your team, because you want to be right. You don't want to have a kid committed, then you go watch him in an AAU environment and he's got bad body language. He's not good with his teammates. He's not the most competitive guy. Those are things that, make you second guess your decision. So honestly, man, you just want him to play well, play with the right demeanor, and go out there and play with energy and effort, and be excited about that kid coming to your program.
With that, I mean, that's great. Then you obviously want to take flyers on kids. You want to go look at kids, whether it's a young kid or, a kid from a smaller town, smaller AAU program. And I think one of the things that's difficult, especially at the mid-major level where you don't have the private jets and all that is, the locations, the schedules. It's tough to really spend time when you only have one weekend, going to see those other kids. So you got to do a lot of your homework. And talking to college coaches this spring, I think the people who felt like they had a successful April did a lot of homework going in on, here's how I'm going to schedule, here's who I'm going to try and see. So, you mentioned looking at scouting reports and stuff from, services like mine. I mean, how do you guys as a staff kind of sit down and say, here's the guys we've only seen once or we haven't seen at all that we want to see?
Well, again, it's like you just said, using those scouting services, especially for the younger guys, and that's the class that we were looking at. It's like, we didn't really – during the season, you don't get out and see a lot of younger guys. You kind of depend on the summer AAU events, and obviously now with the new NCAA recruiting, seeing them with their high school teams in the summer. So one thing I will say, it did limit us not having 2 weekends from getting a whole bunch of evals and seeing a whole bunch of kids. But the positive was, in my opinion, it did make you lock in and not just go out and just shoot, just spray bullets everywhere, just see everybody. It kind of made you lock in and say, hey, these are the kids who, to this point, they're rated pretty high. Corey hasn't rated at this, or this other scouting service hasn't rated at that. So it's like it's a small pool of kids where you have to lock in. You can't be out wasting time. And I'll be honest with you, man, being one weekend, that's the one thing I really liked is there was no waste of time. You really had to take every advantage of seeing the kids that you wanted to see. And like you just said, sitting down with your staff, identifying certain kids and certain programs, relationships that we already grew with certain AAU programs or high school teams as well, knowing that, hey, we don't have time to see, a whole bunch of kids. Let's focus in on the kids that we've already started to grow relationships with and some of these other kids that we haven't quite seen that are rated higher on some of these scouting services that we don't want to be behind the 8 ball recruiting these kids. So in one aspect, yes, it did, not having 2 weekends, it hampered you as far as how many kids you could see and how many evals you could get. But on the flip side, having that one weekend, it made you really lock in and focus on some of the kids you really wanted to see or needed to see, should I say.
With having one weekend, I think one of the advantages, and it's kind of just going this way all together with the shoe circuits and even the non-shoe circuit teams, I think you saw people kind of look for quality events. Most of the top kids were playing on at least a decent platform. But one of the things I wanted to talk with you about the shoe events, specifically, I did the Nike EYBL in Atlanta, and because of how highly regarded some of those kids get in the Nike EYBL or the other shoe circuits, as a mid-major coach, you've got to worry about sometimes the kids who you're recruiting almost playing too well and becoming high major targets. And I think that's just I think it's something that people outside of the industry don't know about, but it is a concern for you guys. If you have a kid who's a pretty good shooter, but then he goes 8 for 8 in a game, you might not be able to get him anymore. I mean, just talk about how that goes.
Right. I think you broke it down pretty well there, especially now with the limited weekends and the limited access. You're 100% right. Because the mid-majors, if you went through a lot of the good teams in the MAC, you went through the rosters, there's going to be a handful of EYBL kids. There's going to be some Adidas Gauntlet kids, some Under Armour circuit kids. But, Corey, you and I both know for the most part, there might be some kids that didn't even play AAU that end up being good MAC players. So now, like you said, the high major teams, you know where they're going. They're not going to go to some not off-brand, but off-site tournament or site to see some kid who's sleeper, which everybody should be doing, don't get me wrong. But like you said, more exposure now with the less weekends to see these guys that are EYBL and Adidas Gauntlets and Under Armour type players. You're 100% right. Kids who would, usually be maybe a mid-major type player, mid-major minus, or a low-major plus type player. You said it greatly. A kid with size, he goes out and gets, double-digit rebounds in a game, gets 2 blocks, steps out and makes 2 threes on the perimeter. He's going to end up being a high-major player. Or, the 6'5" wing who, is rated as low-major plus, But comes down to EYBL game, and he goes down, like you said, he goes 8 for 8 or 8 for 10 in one of those big-time EYBL-type games. With the limited exposure, you're 100% right. Those high major teams, those high major assistants and the head coaches, they're not going to pass up on guys like that when everybody's sitting there watching them. You know what I mean? So I think you broke it down the way you said it the first time, is that with that added exposure, to the shoe company type teams, you're probably going to see more kids go above what would be considered their level. And let's call it like it is. You and I both know it's going to lead to more kids possibly in that portal as well once they end up, both parties realize, man, that one weekend you see me, that might not be the whole of who I am as a player.
There's also the factor of some kids might struggle, and for one example I use might be Ohio Red, and I know those guys so well, and they went 1-3 in Atlanta, and they got a couple kids who, did they struggle in the EYBL game? Sure, but that doesn't mean they're bad players. A lot of the case they're low Division I players who were playing against super high major, McDonald's All-American caliber guys. They're not as good as those guys, but that doesn't mean that they're not good enough to play in the MAC. And I think that is one of the misnomers about those leagues is, it's not can you play or not. It's levels, and there's a spectrum.
Right. And I think, again, and I was going to say that's the exact flip side of that, is that, kids like that can get lost in the mix. Some of those, you and I both know, in those type situations, Corey, there might be a low major kid who doesn't even get in the game, who doesn't even play and gets overlooked. So
right.
I think you make a great point both ways. There's kids who can, on that EYBL type circuit or on that Adidas Gauntlet, the Under Armour type circuits, can play above their level. And there's kids that in those limited evals, they can play below their level and get overlooked and end up being D2 All-Americans or end up being, MAC type all-conference type players, and we prey on those type guys. And those are the type of guys you got to find, the guy who might not even get into the EYBL game. Those guys are the guys who, like you said, just because they're not getting the exposure, because they're not out there playing as much, because some other kid might have a higher rating, or, the coaches might be more invested in a player who's been with their program longer, examples like that. Some kids do get overlooked, and that's where you have to be, good at your job and be a good evaluator and sift through that. So
I think it created an interesting dynamic, and we saw both ends of, both schools of thought the week after the live period, which is we saw some schools decide to throw a lot of offers out, and that they thought we hit the period hard. We saw the guys who want to hit. We saw them. Let's say we saw them in one of the shoe circuits. We saw them against other college level players, so we feel good about we evaluated them against quality competition. But you saw some other guys who, on the flip side, said we only saw the kid 1 or 2 games. It was only on one weekend. We don't know what we saw. Maybe we don't want to offer. We want to get the conversation rolling, but we want to hold the offers until, we get them on campus in June, we see them again in July, et cetera, et cetera. And, different kids, different families, different AU coaches feel one way or another, regarding if they have an offer versus if they have a relationship. And, both of those things are important, but that's, certainly one of the dynamics in terms of just moving kind of the chess pieces in the recruiting game that guys like you had to deal with, probably right now in May and, going into June.
Right, absolutely. And, let's just call it like it is. We were one of those schools that, you did see us offer several players. And, I think that was, like you said, those are the players that we had, some data going into those weekends, watching those kids. And they did go out and play really well. And Coach Owens is the only guy on our staff who has the power to ultimately offer a kid. And, hey, he's been doing this for a long time. He did a great job while he's at Purdue. The man knows talent. So, when he sees those early targets like that, he just knows, like, hey, if we don't offer this kid now and get the relationship started now, this kid has 2 more years of high school basketball. He has 2 more years of exposure, I'm talking about 2021 at this point. He has 2 more springs to improve and get his body right and get better and just continue to develop and grow. Let's offer the kid now and try to get in there and build their relationship so that when it comes decision time, hopefully we're still in the mix. And you made a great point. I mean, there's not just AU coaches. There's parents that might be on the same team that look up and say, "Oh man, he got offered, but we didn't." And then you see an AU coach that looks at another AU team and says, "Man, y'all offered him, but you're not going to offer my guy." Like, that's everybody. That's low major, high major. It doesn't matter. Everybody plays that game of, what about my guy? Like, you offered him, but not our guy. So that's just part of the business, man. And I think it comes through relationship. You have to get people, you have to build that trust to where, they understand, hey, this is the kid who we think is best for our program. And we'll continue to watch your guy. We'll continue to watch your son. Maybe he plays himself into an offer from us. But right now, from the data that we have, this is the young man that we feel comfortable offering a scholarship to. And Corey, I know you deal with it all the time, but, that's just one of those things that you have to deal with. And hopefully through relationships, you can put those fires out. And you're never going to keep everybody happy.
Never going to make anybody happy. It's a lose-lose game, and you just got to do the best you can with it.
You got to do the best you can with it, and honestly, that's what it comes back to. At the end of the day, the best thing we have going in Miami, man, we're trying to provide education for your child, for that young man. So when we offer scholarships, we want for it to mean something. So we try not to just throw scholarship offers out there. We try to do as much research as we can and look at young men who we know will benefit from being a student athlete at Miami University. So.
Well, and you said you're offering guys who it's not like it's the first time you've seen him, and I think there's a huge differential there because you can't let's say Coach Owen sees a kid from some random AAU team and says, "Well, I want to offer him," but he knows he can't do that because he might not be able to get that kid into school, and then you might create a real awkward situation. So you guys are still doing the homework on it. It's just this is you got a pre-crafted timetable of if these guys perform at the level we think they can in April, then we're going to go ahead and pull the trigger. And that goes back to the preparation aspect that we talked about.
Right, absolutely. And Coach has been on us, man. He's got a few criteria. We definitely kind of look at that transcript, break it down. We definitely have to do some character and background checks, whether that be the parents, the AAU coach, the high school coach, the guidance counselor, anybody around that young man that they have a relationship with. We have to gather as much data as we possibly can from them and then make a decision. Is this a high-character kid? Is this a kid that we think will excel in the Miami, Ohio environment? What is his transcript like? Like you alluded to, could he handle the academic work as well? So, when we offer a kid, there's usually a lot of data that goes behind it. And, we just try to make the best decision we possibly can, just like any other college coach.
Well, talking about, if they're going to be a fit for Miami, Ohio, one of the things that the teams do to figure that out a little bit, I mean, it's a really, really small sample size, but it goes into June, sometimes later with team camps and or elite camps and getting kids on campus. So, how do you guys go about deciding who you want to get on campus? And then, what are you guys doing this summer in terms of camp to, give yourself more evaluation and give kids more exposure, the kids you want to have exposure to Miami, that opportunity to play in front of your staff?
Right, and you hit the nail on the head. I mean, obviously, we use our team camps. Most of the kids that we are interested in and or offered, we either invited them to team camp or they are coming to team camp. So that's one way that we try to, get additional information on the kid, get additional evals right there in our environment. They come to our team camp, they might play 3 or 4 games, and we're going to watch all those games and continue to make decisions from there. The other one is the elite camps. Our elite camps have been really good. The first 2 years on campus, people were excited about Miami basketball and just want to see what it is we really have to offer. So we do use those 2 camps as far as, ways to get continued evals and watch guys live in front of us. And the other one is, just using the relationships through the AAU or high school coach. Sometimes, Corey, to be honest, a kid who is a no-brainer, where it's like, hey, we don't need to see team camp. We don't need to see any more basketball from this young man. He is a good enough player. Let's just try to get he and his parent, he and his guardian, whoever it may be, bring them to campus. Let's spend a day with them. Let's show them around campus, show them our facilities, show them what we have to offer from academic support system, and just spend more time around the coaching staff. Maybe that player might get to watch a workout with our guys, and that's how we do it. We would bring several kids to campus through our team camp and elite camp, but, we will also bring kids to campus on an individual basis as well.
And that stuff's going to be my next question is, what's the difference between bringing kids in to evaluate and bringing kids on just to see the campus? And, some of that goes with, you're bringing in, like you said, some of the top high school teams that are going to have young kids that, you're not worried about yet, but you write the name down. Maybe it's their first college visit. And then it's also great, so you obviously have a lot of teams from down my way in Cincinnati at your camp, being that it's, 40 miles. And, you got guys who maybe they've been to University of Cincinnati, maybe they've been to NKU, maybe they've been to Xavier or Toledo, and those are more city schools. Miami, Ohio is more of a rural school and a college town. It's a very different thing. And, it's just about giving those guys, especially the young kids, an opportunity just to see a different thing. And, that's why one thing when I talk to kids or families and they ask me about, what should they do with their summer, my number one thing is go see a lot of different campuses. If you're getting recruited in the MAC, go see Toledo and go see Miami. They're both good schools. They both have good campuses, but in terms of what they look like, they're completely different because of, where they sit in the state. So, that's another great aspect of the team camp.
Right, absolutely. And like you said, as far as getting, it's pretty simple. Like you said, either we shoot for the team camp. It'd be great to see you with your high school team and continue to evaluate you and watch you play with your team. And again, we're checking body language. We're checking energy. How are you when coach jumps you? How are you when a teammate says something to you about, maybe you're taking a bad shot or you're shooting too much, or just how are you on the court? What is your court presence? Are you an energy giver? Are you an energy taker? Are you a negative guy? Are you a positive guy? Do you encourage everyone to be better on the court? Do you uplift your teammates, and is everybody better for you being on the court? So, those team camp and elite camp evals are important, but at the end of the day, it's pretty simple. If we can't get you to team camp and or elite camp, then, if you're a high priority kid, or like you said, if you're a kid that, has several MAC offers and we're one of them, one way or the other, we want to get you on campus in the summer, spend some time with you, get to grow that relationship, and just get to know you better.
And then the last part of it is, depending on, different schools have different ways of doing it. Then it comes down to kid by kid. But a lot of schools have kids doing summer classes, getting in the gym, working out. And sometimes it's an opportunity when there's, less school around, because it's summer school, you're going to have more free time to spend some time, ask your, let your guys play with them and say, hey, how does he fit in and all that type of stuff too.
Right, exactly. And, like you said, just getting those guys over and be able to watch a workout. The one thing I will say about Miami University basketball, and, you can attest to this, we like to get kids on campus because athletes like Nike Sabandi, Delonte Brown, we have guards like Isaiah Coleman-Lands, and, we have some other pieces as well. Like, I think people are really shocked when they come in and see, the level of athleticism in the players that we have. I think that's been those summer visits, I think that's been the best thing we've had going. When they see the intensity and how serious our guys are, and you look up and you see Nike Sabandi out there, built like an NBA guard, like a Bradley Beal type, jumping out the gym, just as athletic as any guard in the country. And you see Delonte Brown at 6'7", long, lanky, athletic. He's muscular, he's strong, he's physical. He plays above the rim. He can step out, he can shoot threes. I think a lot of kids are kind of taken aback about, on the talent level we have and the intensity that our guys work. So those summer visits where they can see our guys play are very important, just because they can see, like, hey, just because we don't have the name on our jersey as some of these high major players, I'm not saying our entire roster, but there are some players on our team we would put up against any player in the country on any team at any level. So I think those are very important. And it's just a chance to get to meet our staff. Obviously, a chance to meet Coach Owens, a guy who was at Purdue for 9 years, recruited some big-time players there, from Caleb Flanagan to Carson Edwards, and to get to meet a guy like Jeff Rutter. Jeff Rutter's been around. Everybody in the business knows Jeff Rutter, and you can attest to that. And then our other assistant, Kenny Lowe, guy who played at Purdue. This is his first job in Division I. Just a chance to be around our staff and see that we're down to earth everyday guys, and be around our support staff as well. We have a great support staff as far as our academics go, and our strength and conditioning coach is big time as well. So we would like those summertime visits for people to come and see, this is how we operate on a daily basis, and, get to see that we're genuine people.
Finding the last step, so I've been involved with it at the high major level of Cincinnati, and it's the same with Miami, Ohio. And I think the last step is when you guys are running team camps, your job is basketball, but it goes beyond basketball, because let's say you've got, the high school close to me, you've got Cincinnati Schroeder High School, and they come up to team camp, and maybe they don't have a kid good enough to go to Miami to play basketball, but they might have a kid that leaves and decides, hey, I want to try to go to Miami as a regular student. And, that's the last aspect of it. And, as much as you guys are worried about winning games in the MAC, you guys still represent the university, and, that's a good thing as well.
No doubt, Courtney, you couldn't have said it any better, man. I mean, just building those relationships, we have a well-organized team camp to where people feel welcomed. Again, bragging on our Dobo, Ryan Smith, our grad assistant, Calvin Olinger, and Damon Frierson. Those guys are great relationship guys. And on that note, this will be our third year of team camp. So many teams, they come back year after year, and that just tells you what you need to know right there is that, we've been running a quality team camp. We want to make all these high school teams from the area feel welcomed when they come to Miami. And I think that I got to brag on our staff again and our players as well, is that they've made everyone feel completely welcomed when they come to our team camp. It's an A1 experience. It's well organized. It's ran the right way. And to your point, man, more important a lot of times than recruiting and just going after these players, this is a relationship-based business. And we want all those high school teams and coaches to feel welcomed when they come to Miami University, especially for team camp.
Well, that's excellent, Coach, and that's exactly what we wanted to hear. And want to thank you for coming on, and we're certainly going to be wishing you guys the best of luck as we get into camp season, and then the best of luck when it comes to travels for the rest of June and July and this crazy NCAA calendar.
Corey, man, hey, once again, I just want to say thank you again for having me on. I really appreciate the opportunity. And one thing for sure, we're going to work at it and try to leave no stone unturned, even though we don't quite know exactly what we're doing with this new recruiting calendar. But, the players will still be playing basketball, and we'll still be doing evals. And trust me, we're excited to hit the road.
That's all everybody can do is, nobody understands it. Just do the best you can with it. So, Coach, thank you very much for coming on. Ladies and gentlemen, that was the Triple Double Podcast. For Jason Moore, I'm Corey Albertson. We want to thank Coach JR Reynolds, assistant coach at Miami, Ohio University. Thank you for listening, everybody. This podcast is brought to you by PlayEasy.com. For players, coaches, or casual athletes looking to book a sports facility, as well as owners and managers of sports facilities, PlayEasy.com is the new one-stop site for streamlined services. If you're looking for a place to practice, play, host your tournament, camp, or other, simply go to PlayEasy.com and create a booking request for your area. Your request will go out to surrounding facilities who will respond with their best offer. Once you receive the offer that best fits your needs, book the facility and you're ready to play. For facility owners and managers, PlayEasy puts the power in your hands to maximize the usage and visibility of your facility. Register your facility for free today at PlayEasy.com. PlayEasy.com is the booking site built by athletes, coaches, and facility managers, and is proud to help bring you the Triple Double Podcast. This podcast is also brought to you by Anago Cleaning Systems. Are you tired of struggling in a dead-end job? If so, Anago Cleaning Systems has what you're looking for, an opportunity to go into business for yourself, but not by yourself. With franchising opportunities available for as little as a $2,500 down payment, purchasing an Anago franchise has never been easier. Once you own your Anago franchise, you're licensed to clean commercial facilities all around the greater Cincinnati, Dayton, or Columbus areas with the support of Anago's sales, quality control, operational, and accounting staff. Call 513-332-0033 today for your opportunity to be your own boss and grow your own commercial cleaning company under the guidance of Anago's proven and successful system. Again, call 513-332-0033 to learn more. With Anago, your future starts today.